People can be joined. Let's see, and we'll start it after 1 minute. Hi, good evening to all of you. I hope I'm audible, right?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. So the session is LIMS end-to-end project learning. How myself actually, sorry for the, I need to give some self introduction from myself. So myself Karthik Reddy from Company Connect Consultancy. So this session would be the complete like LIMS end-to-end project learning. So here the I'll give some demo how it would be in LIMS, the how many type of modules are there, and what is the importance of LIMS, and why the organizations are currently they are implementing this laboratory information management system. So one by one I'll explain. Please listen carefully. Once once the session is completed, we'll take the question and answer session. So this is there is I'll give the next upcoming sessions. Once you are joining in upcoming session, there is a day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and as well as day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8. In this I'll cover the entire LIMS laboratory workflow, and as well as the CSV lifecycle as per the GAM5, how we can perform the validation testing for the LIMS. So these all the scenarios from initial end to end, like initiation phase to retirement phase, I'll explain one to one. So from day 1 session to so ending of last session. So in day 1 session, LIMS general information will become, and LIMS basic workflow, and LIMS environments, how many environments are there, and the flow chart of LIMS, and what would be the how the URS can be designed in LIMS, and how to create the LIMS master data related to the analysis, product and sample plan, and item code. So day 2, it would be like LIMS GX assessment as part of the GAM5, the computer system validation. So there is a GX assessment would be there. It is very important while in initiation phase. This would be covered. After that, the in planning phase, like validation plan, and in validation plan deliverables like a functional risk assessment, functional configuration specification, then IQ, OQ, PQ, how we can execute, and how to create the LIMS master data for the inventory. So in day 3, the configuration testing in development environment, how to perform the LIMS core team, and functional testing in quality environment, and UAT testing in production environment. So day 4 would be like validation summary report and data migration of master data from one environment to another environment. Day 5 would be like LIMS architecture, creation of master data inventory and inventory management workflow. Day 6 would be lot management workflow and laboratory workflow, and master data instrument creation and instrument management workflow. And day 7 would be stability management. The complete workflow will be I can explain. And day 8 would be like LIMS administration activities, user management, data migration, and object package creation, installation and scheduler management LIMS. How it would be an investigation management in LIMS. This would be entire will be covered, and this are like approximately I have given. It would be added some of the things in upcoming sessions. So is there anybody having some knowledge about like LIMS in this session who have attended? Like anybody is having any awareness about LIMS, any type of any kind of LIMS, like Labware, Labrantes, Star LIMS, and as well as like Caliber also. Yeah. Hello?
I do have. Yes, sir. Myself, Tawfiq.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Tell me.
I in quality control right now, and we are handling Caliber LIMS over here
Okay.
at analyst.
So you are performing as an analyst in a laboratory like LIMS. You are not any time you have involved in master data creation.
No, no. I'm working as an analyst
Okay,
and a reviewer.
you are the end user. You are performing the analysis in quality control laboratory, right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay, no problem. So we can cover all the scenarios. How the maximum the master data creation is the major role is playing now. Very important. Majority of the people are recruiting by the organizations like software and as well as consulting consulting organizations and as well as the pharmaceutical organizations for LIMS master data, and as well as the supporting team like administration activities, how we perform the LIMS administrator as a role. So here the main thing is would be like the master data can be play the very important role up to 70-80% once the LIMS implementation was done for any organization. So after that, the support activities would be play for up to 30%. So remaining thing, the remaining all the things can be covered in the as per the CSV life cycle from initiation phase to retirement phase. Since LIMS is a complex computer systems, some of the majority of the organizations can be do the configuration of the LIMS system. So they would be like they are coordinating with vendors and they can get all the information. So the testing will be everything can be performed in the from the organization level, but the can be the majority of the like uh, the majority of the thing can be provided by the vendor only. The default workflow they can provide, and we need to perform all the testing from LIMS core team, and we can finalize the uh, environment. So it would be suitable for the end user to perform the LIMS operations. So like the history of LIMS, like there is a history of laboratory data management. So it would be like there is a prior in 1980, there is a paper based. So all people are aware about the paper based, what is the paper based and what is the electronic related systems. So paper based is we are following with writing the manually for all the documentation, whatever we received from the quality assurance department, and we are once the analysis was performing, we are documenting into the like simultaneously and parallelly in the documentation, like in current people are following, so many organizations are following. But the in 1980, prior to 1980, there is no electronic related computer systems. So they're always like following at the time the paper based. They are uh, large bound books for data sample tracking, and they are using like calculations for some type of reports. In 1980 to 1990, expensive handheld calculations, sophisticated software programs for data crunching and sample tracking that were difficult to us. First rudimentary commercial LIMS available. So they initially at that time they started the some core related the basic type of LIMS they are started at that time. After that, the large bound books still common. So it would be continuing from 1980 to 1980, same thing only. Basic word processing for reports. So they are preparing some of the reports. This is like general basic information I'm presenting now. So after that, 1990 to 1999, there is a personal computers and the software databases made programming and documentation easier. LIMS move from mini computers to PCs. So it would be like the LIMS is moving from the computers to PCs, like we are using in laboratories, like generally the PCs, desktops. So those kind of things they started at 1990 to 1999. Different software systems spoke different languages, creating communication issues. Direct instrument upload developed analytical reports, evolved from ground mail to overnight deliveries to uh, facsimiles to email. So they whatever is there like executing in outside, they are entering into the like in some of the software. It's not like fully uh, developed related laboratory information systems. So they used the some kind of reports can get the outcome of all the deliverables from whatever they performing the analysis and kind of things in laboratory. In 21st century, laboratory data systems reach beyond simple lab sample tracking to web-based exchange of data. Field sample barcoding, location, ID via GPS possible. Data use is facilitated and expanded. Exposure assessment, data management, industry-wide reports by job functions, comparisons to historical data. So now we are in 21st century. In this, from after 2000, there is a large type of scenarios was they changed. Like so many vendors are coming to the in industry and in market. So they are coming forth with all compliance manner with as per the compliance perspective from the regulatory agencies what they are expecting. So those kind of things they are imagine, and they're approaching for the vendors like some of the whoever currently industry plays the major role in the market. So like LabVantage LIMS and Thermo Fisher Scientific LIMS and BioViva LIMS and LabWare LIMS kind of data. And Caliber LIMS also now it's domestic organizations, so many organizations they are involving. But the ultimate thing is that whether whatever LIMS we are using, it should be like 20 as per the 21 CFR Part 11 and UE GAN and Exam 11. We need to as per the CSV life cycle, we need to done the all the configuration testing, and the validation should be performed as per the GAM5. Should be like the internal SOPs organizations are having. So those should be like preparing as per the ISPE, like International Society for Pharmaceutical Organizations, which is like as part of the GAM5. So this is like kind of things. After that, what is the LIMS and how it would be useful in the regulatory industries? So what is LIMS? So allows to effectively manage samples and associated data to improve lab efficiency, automate workflows, integrate instruments, and manage samples and associated information. Produce accurate reproducible results faster and more reliability. Makes data from sequencing runs easier to store, track, and assess over time and across experiments, evaluate and improve operational efficiency. So here, if you are seeing here, so LIMS software is centralized. We are keeping here. So how it would be used in the laboratory. So generally, the LIMS is using in the laboratory, and the cross-functional department like warehouse. Whenever there, the SAP lot can be downloaded from the SAP to LIMS, and some of the things like if stock is available from the in the SAP system, then how it would be downloaded from the SAP to LIMS. These kind of things. So the LIMS is centralized software. Like it should be like there is order manager, projects manager, workflow define, lab inventory manager, and lab material PO manager, lab material advanced manager, and lab admin. So if you are seeing here, there is a reports, documents, web. So web is like we are operating with the LIMS like through the internet. Like if you are having the like one URL link, so you can easily open any environment, like either it is development or validate quality environment or production environment, whatever it be. So documents is so many documents can be arise, can be you can prepare. So as part of master data, those can be, this is like master data should be like as a static data. It should be, it should not like changed occasionally. It would be like when change control is raised for, or already we are having some data, like one analysis is there. If you want to modify for that, it's required like QMS document. So for the top documents can be involved in the LIMS operations, and as well as reports. There is this kind of like certificate of analysis and a test summary report and test data sheet, record of analysis, inventory summary report, stability summary report, instrument summary report. This kind of reports can be easily get from the LIMS. So if we are easily, we can track all the type of necessary data in one report. If you want to get like one lot is there, one batch, if you want to check all the specification parameters and their getting results, we can easily track there. So how the specific within the specification parameters, whether I can get the results or not, if something was happening, whether it is investigation was generated or not. And until unless if you are not able to the lot is not, the complete life cycle was not done, like lot creation to and lot disposition, the COE should not be generated. There is a restricted content is there in LIMS. Like this kind of things, how it would be, we need to do the proper validation while performing the CSV activities in the specific environments, like whether it is quality environment and as well as production environment. So developed environment, it's not auditable environment. It's like kind of testing we can perform, and as well as we can prepare the master data in that. So those data can be migrated to the validation after the production. So it would be like there's this data migration procedure would be involved, and as well as the installation packages whenever are required, we need to do in the specific environment like quality and production environment. So here the evaluate and improve operations efficiency means, so the whatever you performed in like analysis, and you are posting the results into the LIMS, those the results can be reviewed by some other person like QC or QA guys. After that, once the cycle life cycle like up to review was done, then there is again the approver can be do the lot disposition. Like last disposition is nothing but the entire life cycle of that lot is done. So I need to do the lot disposition until unless the terminology in LIMS we are calling as disposition. Disposition is final stage in the lot's life cycle. So coming to the LIMS contents, how many type of LIMS contents is there? So customers, collection sites, preservatives, analysis method, employees, passwords, tests and test results, bottle types, sample matrix. So customers is like you need to, as part of master data, there is a table manager is there. The table manager is having, for example, any LIMS, if you are thinking, imagine like there is a number of tables are there. So those like tables are having so many like structured query language and Oracle type of language can be involved in that table manager. So each table manager having some type of contents like customers. So I need to prepare as part of the, like if I am the master data guy, so I need to prepare the customers, how many like customers are there, like vendors and suppliers. Those can be, we can prepare as part of the master data. Then collection sites, so for example there is a 5 to 6 sites are there. So how many sites are there, like site 1, site 2, site 3, those data we need to prepare as part of the master data. And preservatives is like one type of things like inventory. So inventory is having some of the preservatives we need to prepare uh, in master data. And analysis method, these type of all contents as part of the master data only. So employees, passwords, tests and test results, bottle type, sample matrix. So tests and test results, once the lot is generated, that should be having the associated samples and test. So test is whether it is unreceived, in progress, complete, reviewed and authorization, all the things we need to easily track. And bottle type says whenever you are receiving any sample, before receiving it would be like empty volumetric flask or some conical flask, let it be say like some of the color indication, how, like empty conical flask having doesn't having any color. Then after receiving sample, so it would be like with blue color. And once you are done the result entry, it would be like color change it to the green color. Once review is done for that particular test, it will be changed to the like green color with the tick mark. This would be like indication in the LIMS. So so anybody can easily understand on what status the particular sample is, the test is in underlying under the sample. So sample matrix is, there is sample, how many samples are there. So one lot, this would be coming under the sample matrix. So after that the sample tracking, so on which stage the sample is underlying in the LIMS. So like in which stage, like it is in unreceived stage or authorization stage, we can easily track. Sophisticated query searching, if any issue is happening in production environment, like if you are providing the system to the end user and you done all entire validation testing, I have completed the validation summary report. After that I given the system to the end user, there is a hypercare process out there. At that time something was happening, the user is getting some issues like errors, so we can get the through the sophisticated query. Then if you are writing like ad hoc query manager, then the necessary information where you have got the issue we can get. If you are not getting those kind of scenarios, we need to approach for the vendor can be easily tracked. Why? Because they are the more technical knowledge compared to the LIMS core team whoever available in the current organization. So instrument integration is nothing but we need to integrate with different type of port based instruments like balances and pH meters, and as well as file-based instruments like KF, UV, IR, and Malvern particle size analyzer. So whatever available into that, like file-based. It's not like database, like file-based. Wherever the file is generated, we can easily integrate those instruments. And powerful reporting functionality. There is a reporting earlier slide I have explained about that how we can get the COAs and test summary reports from the system. And parameters control limits, it would be like there is a like you need to put some of the out of control limits like OT out of 10 reports in the master data. And integrated barcoding, integrated QA/QC functions, full audit trail is always available, and enterprise system integration. So it is a like enterprise scalable information systems we can consider as the LIMS. How the LIMS works. So master workflows, sample and test plan. So we need to plan initially. For that, the master data should be available in the system, and we need to then we can do the register of that particular sample. So a lot, if you are registering, then automatically the samples will be generated under that the testing. For example, from description to the one specification is having different type of test, like description to solubility, IR, LOD, water content, whatever is there. So under that specification, it would be available in this system after logging in the laboratory workflow. So training record checking, we can easily verify whether as part of the analyst qualification module, whether the analyst is completed the particular training. So whether he has done like analyst qualification for the HPLC, GC, and pH, LOD, water content, whatever is there, KF, so water content related, and IR, UV, whatever is there. So we can track in the system as well as part of the analyst qualification module, and we can assign the necessary activity to the person. So until unless if we are not mentioned in the system, like the necessary information of analyst qualification related in the system, that person cannot assign the work from the supervisor to the analyst. So inventory tracking standards. So there is a like huge type of inventories are available in the quality control laboratory, like chemicals, reagents, standards, volumetric solutions, and indicators, and working standards, reference standards, kind of related. So this type of all the necessary stocks we need to create in the system under the table manager of the stock table, and approve, reject, retest. So QA is having the authorization role. We can assign the specific role to the QA, like reviewer or approver. So they are having like they can reject or approve based on the outcome of the entire lot life cycle or inventory life cycle or instrument. Instrument generally it would not be like coming to the under approver role. It would be like reviewer only. So wherever the like qualification and as well as the COA generation is there, at that time the approver can be involved in the workflow. So external integration is web services report. So external integration is like there is different type of the LIMS can be integrated with TrackWise like QMS system, and as well as like DMS document management system. So no need to, for example, if DMS document management system is not there, so they need to be verified the physical available copies wherever the available into the laboratory. So QA was issued those kind of existing like manual data we need to see, and after that we need to verify like standard test procedure like STP specifications. Instead of that, if we are implementing as part of the digitalization document management system can track all the type of the one. That is also one type of qualification we need to perform for the DMS. So all the necessary specifications, STPs, and protocols, all kind of data we can put we can walk through the DMS. If we are integrating the DMS into the LIMS, so we can easily log into the system in directly through the electronically computer system like in DMS. So you can easily verify there the specification STPs instead of verifying the existing manual data. And like there is a planning would be like So planning should be available, like the supervisor can be give to the work to the analyst. Analyst can be perform the result entry after completion of the necessary analysis, and after that the like sample tracking. So once you are registering the samples, so sampling can be performed by the analyst by work allotting from the supervisor. And work allocation is also like based on the analyst qualification model. The supervisor can allocate the work to the analyst can perform the analysis. And result capture, once analysis is done, he will perform the result entry, and he will put the results in the LIMS. And as well as approvals. So approvals is like QA can be performed, and QC manager also can be performed for the raw material and packing materials. So some of the organizations can give entire all specific activity to the QA only. So some of the organizations can give the raw material and packing material approval for the QC manager also. Finish report can be done by the QA guys. So after that, reporting is like there is a different type of reports are there we can get from the system. So before selection of vendor, how do I choose a LIMS vendor? A LIMS vendor is an entity which provides laboratory information management system software or software packages. So the LIMS software may be very generalized to handle a great number of laboratory situations, or it may be very specific to handle the needs a certain fields of study. Of course, every LIMS may have a different feature set, like based on intended focus. There are so many LIMS vendors. So I have already explained right about some of the vendors are available currently with majority of the organizations are using this type of LIMS now, like Thermo Fisher Scientific, LabVantage Solutions, LabWare Inc., and Caliber Technologies, and Star LIMS. So before the, for example, I want to implement the LIMS system as a project manager in the organization, I need to choose the proper vendor which are available in the current market. So whether it is the most trusted vendor I need to choose, how I can choose the vendor. So the choosing a system is like client responsibilities, how I can choose the vendor. So requirement specifications I need to get. So in reality, every lab is unique, has their own type of test, type of samples, set of instruments, and analytical methods and specifications. Evaluate labs existing LIMS capabilities. So for example, there is one quality control lab is there. There the under the manufacturing they are having all raw materials, like in-process materials, finished goods, packing materials, and whatever is there. For example, APIs, the record solvents, this kind of all type of data I need to evaluate. Like how many specifications are there, how many STPs is there, how many stocks is there, how many instruments are there, how many inventories are there, how much stability data is there, how much environment monitoring data is there, how much media management like culture, like kind of microbiology inventory. I need to assess all type of master data. So which type of vendor can be suitable for this implementation of LIMS. So all this necessary data I need to get from the cross-functional teams, like whether it is QC or sometimes warehouse persons and QC and the quality control guys who are having the good knowledge on the laboratory. So in order to get workable LIMS system, a lot of time has to be spent implement the master data. So as I said already, the LIMS master data plays a very important role in the system. Why? Because once the as per the CSV life cycle, the entire qualification was done. So once you are giving the system to the end user, then the master data can play the very important role. Why? Because the whatever we are having like specifications and STPs kind of all the data we need to prepare in the specific environment, which are like static environment or development environment. Those can be migrated into the validation and as well as production. So system validation and maintenance is very important. Why? Because once the validation is done, there is a maintenance. Maintenance is nothing but the end user is we are delivering the system to the end user. The day one onwards, the people can be get different type of like uh, scenarios. They are facing so many challenges. If any issue was happening, how I can rectify those issues, whether the LIMS core team can be rectify or and the vendor can be rectified. So for that there is a the procedure also is available. QMS system we need to follow. There is a like if any issue was happening, the error handling SOPs, some of the incident management SOPs we can follow through the from the system. So interfacing capabilities, how I can integrate the system to the LIMS, like whether it is instrument integration or other type of DMS and quality system integration. So whether the vendor is suitable, like for example, labware is there, whether it is suitable to the integration with other cross-functional systems. So regulatory compliance, whether it is achieved to the regulatory compliance like NABL 112, patient confidentiality, and 21 CFR Part 11, and as well as the EU GAMP and HR11. Confidentiality and data integrity protection. So this kind of things I need to do as like part of the vendor assessment, and as well as the like vendor assessment how we can perform. So we can do by the on-site visit to the vendor supplier place, or we can manage through the emails also. So we can give some of the questionnaires to them, vendor evaluation questionnaire. They can fill whether it is suitable for the like as per the regulatory perspective or not. So they can give the we are giving one checklist to them. They'll fill out those checklists, and after that the specified vendor persons like from the quality assurance department, they can review and approve those vendor supplier assessment related. So confidentiality in data integrity production, determine labs willingness and ability to meet current and future client needs. So here, whether it is web-based LIMS or web-enabled LIMS, we need to concentrate more and more here. What is the web-based and web-enabled LIMS? Web-based LIMS is a 100% web-based application requiring no installation of software on the client side. So that if you are having any URL link, the particular environment, so if you are clicking that one, then you are having the user ID and password that particular environment, you can easily log in. So this is the advantage for the web-based LIMS. And all functions of the laboratory information system can be accessed through an internet browser. So if you are having the internet, then you can easily log into the particular environment of the LIMS system. This reduces the maintenance cost of LIMS since all data and functions are stored on the server. So there is a servers are there. So servers, how we can do? So there is a hardware verification is available. Then generally it would be done by the IT team in the organizations. So they can assess how much data can be stored in the system. For that, there is a terabyte data should be. So they need to assess how many sites are there. So all generated dynamic data, where it can be stored and how much data can be occupied for that completely like 5 to 10 years. I need to assume for 5 to 10 years of data can be stored into the particular server of the LIMS. So the performance of the LIMS depends on the server, which can be upgraded as per the business requirement. So web-enabled LIMS is based on a client-server architecture where some of all functionalities of LIMS are available through a website interface. The use of web-enabled laboratory information system is limited to PC. So for this, web-enabled is the client, the entire application we need to, every software we need to install. Otherwise, we can't operate the system. So it's kind of like through Citrix server, we can log into the LIMS. So it is like that is also like one every year we need to pay some of the money to the Citrix vendor. So this is like cost of the investment is more and more compared to the web-based LIMS. So web-enabled LIMS generally now people are not following. So many organizations are implemented the web-based LIMS. The performance of a web-enabled system depends on the both components of architecture such as the client. For this web-enabled LIMS, we need to do the qualification for each and every PC. If you want to install the application, for that some necessary validation you need to perform before giving to the system to the end user. So general awareness of LIMS environments and modules. LIMS is coming under category 4 as per the GAMP 5. Why? Because it can be configured for the industries for their intended use. Generally, LIMS contains 4 different type of environments, which includes that. So development environment is code testing and configuring the software based on the URS. So we are doing the testing. So the vendor can be give one type of software to us. We selected as one vendor. Vendor gives some default workflow system to us. LIMS core team, they are taking some of the trainings like administration training from vendor. So those guys who are the LIMS core team guys can be perform the testing against the user requirement specification. So URS, like for example, there is a uh, there should be a manual not creation the LIMS. That is one type of let us say that is one type of URS. So we need to verify whatever provided by the vendor for the default workflow. So whether the lot generation is available, the provision is available or in LIMS. So if it is not there, something was it's not meeting our requirements, we will write in the gap assessment. Those gap assessment we can share to the vendor. Vendor can be configuring the system like that particular workflow. Then they can give the some of the packages. So we need to install into the development environment from by taking from the support from the IT team. So they can install, and after that we can perform the testing. Then once it is flow is perfect, we can fix that particular testing related content. Then static environment is creation of master data like analysis, product, sample plan, item code, instrument and inventory. Whatever is available and the entire data can be created into the static environment. So quality environment or validation. Testing of all module functionalities based on the approved URS and FRA by using approved test protocols and test scripts. FRA is nothing but like function risk assessment. Function risk assessment we need to do from the by taking from the all user requirement specifications. There is like some of the mitigation plan is there. So we need to how we can reduce the risk. So those kind of all mm, things can be mentioned into the FRA document. So production environment is this environment is end user environment. After successful completion of quality testing, end user will perform the PQ like performance qualification by supporting from the LIMS core team. So once the quality environment testing was done, same thing we can perform in the production environment. But production environment we can do the activity as per the URS, like the simple workflow like lot creation to lot COA generation. So for example, in quality environment, same thing we can do the some of the negative testing. All type of scenarios we can do. There is, for example, there is 20 test cases are there in validation quality environment, but here as per the URS it would become only 10 cases. So LIMS is having different type of modules based on the quality lab business process, which includes that lot management, raw material, packaging material, in process, record solvents and finished product, lot creation to COA generation and release of lot. This all type of activity can be underlying in the lot management. And inventory management says that chemicals, reagents, indicators, SST solutions, volumetric solutions, standards, registration of new inventories, and qualifying of those. Qualifying is generally we are doing for the volumetric solutions and the working standards. Apart from that, we can't do anything. If anything is there, we can perform the qualification testing also as part of the inventory management. Instrument management says that calibration schedule. So we can mention one instrument is that balance. We can mention those calibration details like daily calibration, uh, monthly calibration, quarterly calibration. So those specific dates as part of the master calibration schedule or preventive maintenance schedule or performance verification schedule, whatever are currently available in the quality control laboratory SOP. So stability management, creation and approval of study, stability schedule samples logging, analyzing, reviewing, approving and generation of stability summary report. How we can create the stability study, how we can create the stability test article and as well as test protocol, and how we can routed those protocols to the like stability study for the approval. Then once you are done, then how we can load the stability inventory samples into the stability chambers. So how the samples can be logged as per the scheduler, stability scheduler. Once logged the samples, how we can pull those samples into the laboratory, how we can receive, how we can perform the analysis, and after performing the analysis, how done the result entry, then reviewing, after that After completion of all the type of time points and conditions, we can get the stability summary report for that particular study. So environment monitoring is scheduling, allocating. So environment monitoring also having different kind of like scheduling is available. So SOPs, so organizations who are having the like quality microbiology laboratory, they are having some SOPs. In those SOPs, there is a sampling point, process unit, scheduler, those kind of data they can mention in the procedure. So scheduling, allocating, sampling, analyze and review, and generation of environment trend report. These kind of things can be underlying into the environmental monitoring module. So micro inventory management says that media, culture, identification, and in-house isolate registration and usage of those inventories in the environment monitoring module workflow based on the end user requirement. So generally the media is there is different type of medias are there. Generally the sterile injectables. So injectable organizations like injectable sites and pharmaceutical organizations, they are using this media, culture, and identification, most of the things. And API industries, they are also following, but it's limited. But this inventory management is majority of the things can be used with the sterile test, like formulation organizations. And general awareness of master data management and LIMS roles. Master data management plays a very important key role in LIMS after successful deployment of the production environment. So you are giving the system to the end user. So if the master data is not available, we can't achieve the lot releases, and it would be impact on the business perspective. That's what the master data is. We need to prepare before going for the go live. So analysis, product sample plan, item code, instrument, inventory, suppliers, unit, process unit, and schedule. This kind of data can be says the master data. Each and every master data object should be validated in the validation environment and should be migrated to the production environment. So you prepare the master data in the static environment. So you verify, and after that you migrate it to the, by taking the support from the LIMS administrator, system administrator, to the validation environment. So in validation environment, once you move there, you need to test whether it is the results are properly generated or not for that particular master data. If it is not there, you can correct there itself if any typo error is there. Otherwise, we need to do again in the static environment, same data, and you need to migrate to the quality environment by taking the some QMS document. So you can do the corrections, and after that again you need to perform the some kind of results entry, dummy results entry, or whatever the approved specification results in the LIMS system. Then you can get the reports like COA, certificate of analysis, some of the test summary reports. So LIMS roles is nothing but like roles should be validated based on the lab business process before releasing the system to end user, which includes that analyst, QC supervisor, QC reviewer, QA reviewer, QA approver, QCM supervisor, QCM reviewer, inventory manager, system administrator. So these kind of roles we need to validate in the quality environment as part of the validation plan. So the test script, some of the test cases under as part of the LIMS test script, we need to do the test cases. There we need to perform some of the negative challenges, whether for example analyst cannot be perform the lot disposition. Analyst cannot generate the cannot perform the work allocation. So QC supervisor cannot do the result entry, and QC supervisor cannot be approve the batch, and QC reviewer should not do the sampling, and QC reviewer should not do the result entry. This type of all type of things we need to perform as part of the validation plan in test cases. Then we can finalize these type of roles. So LIMS challenges costing. Assessing cost, it depends on the time spent on implementation. Implementation time in turn depends on the number of instruments, tests, laboratories, etc. that shall be implemented. So as you imagine, the cost of the LIMS of cost is very high. For example, there is a Thermo Fisher Scientific Sample Manager LIMS is there. It would be like, if you want to get any you finalize that vendor, and there is a scope of work is there, there should be like the entire purchasing amount would become, so it would be very high, like some crores is there. So you need to assess how many type of quality control related data I can manage in the LIMS and can be implemented. So initial cost is like cost for purchase of system, including supplier implementation time and as well as internal training time. So once the testing was done, like internal training time, so you finalize the vendor, and you need to take the training from the vendor for the LIMS core team. The we are having the good knowledge on the laboratory process. Those people can be considered as a LIMS core team as per the subject matter expert, we can say. So those guys can take the training from the vendor, and implementation validation time cost for the system itself. So if you are taking training also, that is also costable. So we need to assess all the scenarios. Based on that, we will approach for the LIMS implementation. Any changes after the implementation phase will be included in the system maintenance. So annual cost. So maintenance cost per year for changes, validation, error handling, backups, help desk. So after implementation of the LIMS, you are going to give the system to the end user. Once it was done the go live, there is a hypercare process for 2 to 3 months. Then there is a continuous support from the LIMS administrator and as the like subject matter experts, and obviously from the vendor. So maintenance cost per the year. So if any changes, validation is changed, so how much cost is there? So error handling, so many errors are generated, how we can rectify. For rectification, how much time taken. For each issue, how much cost we are bearing. So any backups related. So if the data is not backed up, how can rectify those issues, and help desk related. So this type of are coming under the maintenance. It would be more cost. And license for the year, for example, initial purchase time, I am having only 100 licenses vendor has provided. If you want 101 user, then after 100 users you want one more user, it would be like we need to purchase the license from the vendor. So this type of all type of scenarios we need to assess. Based on that, we will purchase the vendor, then we will go for the implementation of the system. So cost of time spent using new LIMS, and how much time is taken. For example, the existing system is paper based. If you want to implement the LIMS, how much time it will be taken. So we need to get put some management can be asked. So when you can implement the entire modules, and initial phase, at least when you can perform, and when it will be go for the end users perspective. These kind of scenarios can be, the time is very important. On the specific time, we need to perform all the related activities without tampering. And cost of time spent using old paper based system, like if you want to like calculate from an average batch type, these kind of things. So once you are implementing, so for example, in paper based you are releasing 20 batches. After implementing the system, it will reduce up to 5 batches only. Why? Because the system is new for the end users. For the adoption of the system, they can take time. So obviously the outcome of the batch releases are less. So the revenue should be less from the organization. This type of all things we need to think, and after that we will go for the implementation of LIMS. The price of LIMS actually is a bit higher than the second stated prices for the purchase. Implementation and annual license cost. The monetary return of interest can be calculated and may or may not be positive. However, the real benefit of LIMS is a long-term value added quality to the laboratory process and the product. So if after implementation of LIMS, if any regulatory audit was happening, so they can appreciate the organizations. Why? Because the LIMS is once implementing, there is no Alcoa, there is no data integrity. So zero tolerance of all type of activity can be outcome from the LIMS. So we could not like modification of any data from the system. If you have done anything, it would be auditable as part of the 21 CFR part 11. So LIMS risk components. What are the LIMS risk components? 60% of IT projects are cancelled prior to implementation due to functional time and budget constraints. So they are going for the IT one of the like LIMS. So they are thinking we want to implement the LIMS. They are taking initial time and they are done entire like scope of work done, vendor assessment done, and the GXP assessment done. They are going for the implementation because of already testing was done for the as part of the validation. But the functionality, whatever they performed as in a quality environment, but they didn't done the up to the mark as per the regulator's perspective, and it is the failure. And time. So they time consuming is taking more, and management should not agree for those kind of scenarios. They can cancel the project. And budget. So cost of the obviously the cost is more at that time. For example, initially they implemented like up to 6 months, 1 year. Then the upcoming future of months or future upcoming years. So if the budget is not there from the purchase department or finance department, then maybe they can cancel. This some of the examples. Risks identified. No formal process in place to select and implement LIMS. Customization and integration requirements underestimated. Unrealistic schedule and budget estimates. Risk management plan not well established. So whatever the risk management plan, so risk management plan nothing but what type of risk we can get before implementing the LIMS and after implementing the LIMS. We need to assess all the type of scenarios as part of the risk management plan. Otherwise, the majority of the IT projects like LIMS kind of projects can be discontinued in between. Guidelines for a successful LIMS implementation. Whatever the guidelines can be, we can achieve, like business case preparation, collect and organize user requirements, segment and prioritize. Priority 1 is critical to work process. Priority 2 is improves work process. Priority 3 is nice to have. Development of function specification, evaluation of vendor responses, configuration, customization and integration, validation and testing, planning and maintenance. So if you are following this type of all scenarios, then you can do the successful LIMS implementation. So like the user requirements can be, we need to get all from the all cross-function departments like QC, QA. Like for example, QC is there, stability in charge, we need to get all the information, and as well as inventory in charge is there, like raw material in charge, finish report in charge. So we need to get all the necessary information, which kind of requirements we need to test into the development environment as part of the initiation planning time. So development and function specification. So the function specification, whatever the functionality, the workflow, which type of design can be, we need to perform as part of the URS. So once the URS is finalized, we need to do the function risk assessment. So the risk mitigation we need to perform accordingly as part of the failure mode effective analysis like FME tool. So if any like vendor responses like evaluation we need to do, if giving gap analysis, vendor is giving some default workflow and it was not meted our user requirements, then we need to prepare one gap analysis report and we'll send to the vendor. Vendor can be do the configuration testing. Configuration they can fix, then they can deliver it to the LIMS core team. LIMS core team people can be do the again configuration testing. Then it is once everything is fine, they can fix the particular workflow. Same thing can be tested into the quality environment. Then we can deliver the system to the production for the end user. So key messages is like a good information management system will ensure all data. The final product of the laboratory is well managed. ensure confidentiality and privacy of patient information, incorporate all the laboratory business process as part of the system, assure the accessibility, accuracy, timeliness, and security of data, streamline sample tracking and sample workflow in the clinical laboratory. So the key messages would be like this: once you are implementing the LIMS system, we can track anytime who done, what done, when it was done, like as part of the Alcoa. So when the lot creation was, for example, let us say there is a lot workflow is there. When the lot was generated, after that, when the sampling was done, and when the analysis was performed, when the review is done, when the lot disposed, this entire workflow, whatever the performed by the all business prospective persons like analyst, supervisor, reviewer, approver, we can track easily, and where the status of that particular sample under associated with lot is underlying in the system. We can easily track at any time by opening into the system. So the below flow diagram says that explains about the complete LIMS workflow from the registration of materials to generation of reports. So sample registration, after that workflow management, test configuration, result input, result validation, report generation. Generally, in this flow diagram, registration was done. After that, receiving of samples, preparation of analysis like work allocation and testing, validation, approval, reporting, archival. Archival is nothing but data backup and restore into the server, specified server. So this is one type of workflow. We need to validate the complete workflow, this type of scenarios, all kind of scenarios in the system. So here, okay, for example, there is a raw material analysis is there, unpacking material, how we can perform the retesting. For example, if any investigation was happening, how we can do the replicate or hypothesis analysis of that particular sample. So as part of the investigation management, this kind of all the scenarios we need to validate in the quality environment as part of the CSV lifecycle. So functionalities of LIMS divide into 5 laboratory phases, like 5 laboratory processing phase, the reception and login a sample and associated customer data. So you received the sample, and after that the customer data, whatever we are having, we can easily verify. The assignment, scheduling and tracking of sample and the associated analytical workload. The assignment, whatever the scheduling was sample, like instruments scheduling and tracking of that sample, we can easily track. The processing and quality control associated with the sample and the utilized equipment and inventory. So inventory module related data in the quality control laboratory. So the utilized equipment, how much utilized, for example, on HPLC is there, the utilization of that particular HPLC. So for example, one year data, let us say take the 1 month data. So 1 month, in 1 month, how much analysis was happening in the particular equipment, we can get the information from the LIMS. The storage of data associated with the sample analysis, the inspection, approval and completion of the sample data for reporting and further analysis. So additional functions, audit management, barcode handling. Audit management is nothing but audit history. Barcode handling is you logged the through the lot life cycle, the sample is logged. For that, we need to generate the sample label. So including the sample label, there is a barcode. So barcode is nothing but let us say the barcode. For example, the lot number, we need to qualify in the barcode labeling, barcode handling. So the barcode is having one type of hardware. So once generating the system label from the system, that label should be contain the barcode. If you are through the barcode scanner, if you are scanning that particular barcode, then the lot can be that particular sample number can be easily displayed in the system. So chain of custody, so how it is linking from one there is a flow of inventory, like inventory registration. For example, there is a inventory registration to up to qualification of that particular inventory, compliance, customer relationship management, document management, instrument calibration and maintenance, inventory and equipment management, so method management, so reports, time tracking, traceability, workflows. These all type of things we can easily the functionality verification we can perform in the system. So advantages, many advantages is there here. Very fast report and access queries, and a reduction in paperwork. So improved data quality, improved operation efficiency, simple to use Excel like formulas, increased productivity gains, and integration with other departments, reduces transcription errors, increases throughput, avoids duplication. Return on investment is typically within 1 year. So this kind of advantages we can get from the LIMS. So all are can be the auditors can be appreciated the once the LIMS is implemented. This kind of things we can get from the system. Disadvantages is like training, it will take more time, and time to adapt to a new system, it will take time. Cost is more and more. The cost we need to assess before going for implementation. Physical restrictions, need for backup of system, all computer information must be carefully backed up. So the server team can be they need to evaluate, they need to monitor properly, so whether the data is properly archived and backed in the system. If they are not done, and so generally the organizations are having the backup procedure, and they need to be monitored by the IT team, like weekly once, or 1 month once, or daily backup also. So loss of data due to damaged disk or system crash cannot be tolerated, and backup systems will be critical. So that's what we need to monitor the data. Once if it is anything was done, there is one more, the data can be stored into that one more LIMS related server. Conclusion is, a computer system for laboratory data is often called a laboratory information management system and is referred to by the acronym LIMS. The use of a computer system is becoming more common in the laboratory around the world. An appropriately designed and installed LIMS brings accuracy and accessibility to the flow of samples and data in the clinical laboratory. So finally, nowadays the organizations are, so many organizations are implementing the LIMS. So to achieve the 21 CFR Part 11 and GAMP and XR 11 perspective.
I think somebody has done a question.
Yeah,
who has the questions? Some questions. So
yes,
can we
yes.
take them?
Yeah.
Guru, do you have a question?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Sir?
I'm able to hear. Yeah, I'm able to hear. Tell me.
Sir, in this with master data, like in the training, you are giving any examples also, sir? Any like any projects by creating master data and template creation and all?
Yeah, I'm having some visible workflows. I will show you.
Okay, sir. And template creation and master data creation, everything you are explaining in this, right?
Yes. Template is different. I'm not talking about templates. Templates design is different. That are not generally given by the vendor. We can't create, right?
Yeah.
See, for example, sample login templates is there in LIMS. Okay. Sample login template we can't create directly.
Yeah, we can create, sir.
But
We can like how the like business person requirement, based on the requirement, we can modify the things, right?
yes, that and all we can modify, but that there is a SQL coding is there. Got it.
Yeah.
So if you are touching that one, it will be hamper in somewhere. Okay. So for example, the table manager is having 100 tables. Okay. So one table you opened and you are done something.
Okay.
So it will hit somewhere. For example, instrument you touched inner side SQL coding, and it will be hit onto the lot life cycle.
Okay.
That's what 99% people are not modified whatever provided from the default by the vendor. Generally, as per my experience, I'm saying this answer.
Okay. Okay, sir. And which LIMS master creation you explain, like labware or caliber LIMS or lab
Lab,
advantage?
labware.
Because that is the most using in the industry. That is why I asked the question.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. From
I
tomorrow
will
on,
give.
yes, sir.
Yes, tomorrow. Yeah.
At 8:30 to
So,
No. Saturday is out 8 to 9:30, and Sunday
okay.
it would be 6 to 7:30.
Okay, sure, sir.
Yeah.
so do you give any live session on how admin level of LIMS, how to handle that admin level on this course?
Not getting. Could you repeat again?
Yes, I'm asking that do you give any presentation or live session that on the administrator level, like I'm an end user, so I don't have any idea on the admin level how the LIMS is handled. So do you give
Correct.
session on that?
Application. See, a live application we don't have. Okay, that is very rare cases. Nobody is not having. Why? Because the
Uh,
organizations only having that application. Okay.
yeah,
So
but on the
I'll get some. Let me explain. I'm having some of the workflows. Okay, some presentations related. So how it would be like the workflow, how it would be, and like the how the data can be migrated from one place to one place, and how to create the master data, and how the LIMS administration activities how we can perform support related, not like the entire configuration related, like coding related. Okay, it's the kind of it would be sufficient for cracking of interview nowadays, because of master data creation is very important there. Because see, once you are implementing the LIMS, let me
okay,
explain. So there is a master data should be the continuous support until unless the entire master data creation in the system. Once you done also, for example, there is a 10 people are there in the organization. They created for master data for 6 sites. Okay, it will take minimum 3 years. It's not like completing within 6 months.
okay,
Okay, so now the organizations like they are giving more and more salaries, like annual packages also, like Accenture, Cognizant guys. They are pulling the people from the pharmaceutical organizations who is having the real knowledge about the master data, and as well as the supporting of the LIMS administration, like how to create the users, how to modify the users, and how to absolute of those users, and how to migrate the data from one environment to another environment, how to install the configured packages from the which are provided from the vendor. These kind of things are one type of support. So you are asking about the development kind of things. We need to get the training from the vendors. So for example, let us say, let me give one example. If you want to take any LIMS administrator one training or administrator to training, it would be around 2.5 lakh money should be paid from the organization to the vendor.
okay,
Okay, so generally it would be the application, live application, nobody is not having to explain the live demo session, the workflow and as well as the master data creation.
I got
I'm having some, I'm having some of the pictures, like some of the presentations, how would we create the master data, and how it would be how we can perform the validation testing for this type of all type of modules which are associated with the LIMS.
okay. So
Got
sir,
it?
like if an end user gets a job in this kind of company where they are doing LIMS validation, so how this course would help
Mhm.
that, and because he doesn't have the experience in master data creation and admin level, right? So this course would help that person if he gets into tax interview or
Yeah,
like.
that. So master data kind of creation, I will explain end to end for all type of modules.
Okay,
Okay. For example, lot management is there. How to create the analysis, product, sample plan, item code, this kind of. And for example, inventory is there. How to create the inventory for chemicals, reagents, volumetric solutions. And instrument is there. How to create the instrument. and how we can put the dates for that as per the calibration schedule. And coming to the stability, how to create the stability data like protocols, test articles, and other workflow. And for example, the this environment monitoring is there, like microbiology, how we can create the master data for that. So these kind of things I will explain.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I hope if anybody is having any. Guru Basavaraja, Shruti.
Yeah, hi,
No,
Kat.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, I'm
Yeah,
listening. Tell me.
uh,
Yeah, ask.
yeah. You will be giving any trainings on coding, like how to write a code or anything related, like if it's in an analysis or something like that. Is it covered in the training?
See, we don't have the live application to explain the how to write the code. First of all, second thing is that so you are having any knowledge about any analysis creation, like simple master data. If you are not
Yes.
having,
I,
which
I
type of,
have,
yeah,
no,
tell
I
me.
have knowledge, but I just want to learn about the coding, how to write a code. Like
So
if it is
Shruti, actually,
like
what happened? Coding for
it,
the coding, you have to be learn the Python or .NET languages. From that, these we can say the application will be developed. So that is a separate course actually. Okay,
like
coding, how to be do the coding. So learn the Python, C, C++, Java. Based on that, you can have learning on the application development actually. That is a separate story. We are not talking on the coding currently here. Okay.
yeah, I got it. But like not so complex like C plus coding. Some like SQL queries, like anything like that is covered in a training, or I'm asking about that.
So this course doesn't contain any kind of a coding actually. This I'm trying to explain you.
Oh, okay, fine. Thank you.
What are the
Uh,
timings you said? Access?
What?
What are the timings? What every day is it held, the classes, or on the weekends?
Weekdays only, Saturday, Sunday.
So what are the timings? Can you pardon me?
Saturday is 8 to 9:30 and Sunday is 6 to 7:30. Evening time.
Okay.
I think we can close now, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Then. Yeah. Thanks for
Thanks for
the.
all, yeah, joining the session. Thank you very much. Yeah.